You're probably sitting there wondering if a 75-inch TV is worth the space, the price tag and the promise of all-in-one entertainment, especially when every brand seems to be shouting about higher resolutions and smarter remotes. The fear of ending up with a massive screen that looks great on paper but ends up being a headache to set up, or worse, a screen you barely use, is real. That's why I'm digging into the Sony BRAVIA 2275-inch model, not just to read a list of specs, but to see how it fits into a typical living room routine, from a family movie night to a serious gaming session on a PlayStation 5. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the size itself changes the dynamics of the room. A 75-inch panel at 4K really does make a difference when you're watching a streaming series from the couch, but it also means you have to think about viewing distance. The sweet spot lands somewhere around 8 to 10 feet, which lines up nicely with most living rooms, but if your sofa is closer you'll start seeing the pixel grid on fast-moving scenes. That's where Sony's intelligent motion handling and the powerful TV processing claim to step in, smoothing out motion without the soap opera effect that some other manufacturers overprocess. In practice, I found that a high-octane action movie played on this screen kept the motion crisp, and the subtle upscaling of older 1080p content meant those nostalgic family videos didn't look flat. It's not a miracle cure, but the result feels natural enough that you don't have to keep adjusting picture settings every time you switch sources. One of the biggest selling points is the Google TV interface. For people who already have a handful of streaming apps spread across different devices, the promise of everything you stream, all in one screen, is tempting. In my testing, the home screen loaded quickly and the voice search recognized both titles and actors with decent accuracy, even when I used a casual, conversational tone. The biggest practical win is the ability to pull up a show on Netflix, pause it, and then instantly switch to a YouTube tutorial without needing to hunt for a separate remote or device. However, the interface can feel a bit crowded if you like a minimalist look, and the occasional "Are you sure you want to exit?" prompt popped up when I tried to jump between apps quickly. It's a minor irritation, but worth noting if you value a frictionless flow. Now let's talk about the exclusive PlayStation 5 features, because that's a deal-maker for a lot of gamers. Sony has integrated a low-latency mode and automatic HDR tone mapping that kicks in when the console is detected. In real-world gaming sessions, both first-person shooters and cinematic adventures, the TV delivered a consistent 60 Hz refresh with minimal input lag, and the HDR looked vibrant without washing out the darker scenes. The movie's included branding isn't a literal DVD bundle, but rather a set of pre-installed streaming apps optimized for Sony's picture engine, so you get a ready-to-watch experience right out of the box. If you're already invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, the TV feels like an extension of the console rather than just a display. So, who should consider buying this 75-inch BRAVIA? If you have a dedicated media room or a living space that can comfortably accommodate a screen of this magnitude, and you plan to use it as a central hub for streaming, gaming, and occasional movie nights, it's a solid match. Families that watch a lot of mixed-resolution content will appreciate the upscaling and motion handling, while gamers will benefit from the PS5 integration and the low-latency mode. The built-in Google TV also means fewer external streaming sticks, which can simplify cable management. On the flip side, if you live in a smaller apartment where the viewing distance can't stretch beyond 6 feet, the size might overwhelm the room and force you to sit further back, which isn't always practical. Likewise, if you're a hardcore home theater purist who wants a dedicated AV receiver and separate streaming box, you might find the integrated Google TV a bit limiting and prefer a TV that offers a more neutral picture out of the box for calibration. The price point is also something to consider. While the picture quality is impressive, you're paying a premium for the brand and the built-in software. If you're okay with buying a separate sound system and don't need the Google TV interface, there are cheaper alternatives with similar panel performance. A practical weakness that shows up after a few weeks of use is the stand. The TV is heavy, over 70 pounds, and the included stand is sturdy but takes up a noticeable footprint. If you're planning to wall mount it, you'll need a robust mount rated for at least 150 pounds, and the visa pattern isn't immediately obvious without checking the back panel. This isn't a deal breaker, but it adds a small extra cost and effort for people who want a clean wall setup. Another subtle trade-off is the audio. The built-in speakers are decent for casual TV watching, but they lack the